Okay, so this question, the thing we're doing is technically under graphing, functions, slope, stuff like that. But I just wanted to talk really quickly about the most common type of equation that we run into in the GED question or the questions, and that is this style of question. It's two-step algebra, or sometimes called a linear equation, because if we graphed it, it would make a straight line. It is used in story problems like, you know, I had to get a plumber to come over to my house. It was $80 for the house visit, and then $50 every hour after that. The $80 number would be this, because that happens once. As soon as the van pulls up, I owe $80. And then it would be 50 times the number of hours. X would be the number of hours. So there's one number that is flat that doesn't change. Like I bought a cell phone. That happened one time. And then my cell phone plan is a certain amount of money per month. That would be that number. But anyway, that just saying how this style equation just shows up like crazy. The easiest way, the first thing we do is two-step algebra where we solve it. So if we said 3x plus 4 equals 13, this is how we solve this. And we've done videos on this before. We want to get the x alone. So we got to get...
Hey, Jeff, I got a question.
Yeah.
You got 3x plus 4 equals 13, right?
Yes, sir.
Can you explain how we get to the 13?
Well, I just made up an answer.
Oh, okay. All right. Because I got a little rusty right there.
Well, so this is where like a question might come up where we got to figure out what x is.
Okay. All right.
In this situation, you know, we first get rid of the simple number, and the simple number is the plus 4. So we do a minus 4 on this side to be equal. We do a minus 4 on that side.
Right. And that'll be
3x.
So bring the 3x down, and 4 from 13 is 9, right?
Yep. So we do this side ends up just being artwork. We just cross stuff out. And this side is where we do the honest math. Then 3 something equals 9. That's times. So the 3 is upstairs. We got to put it downstairs and divide out. And x comes down. 9 divided by 3 is 3. So that's one way we solve this thing. The next way, when it comes to graphing and all that stuff, if we were to graph this, each one of those numbers has a job. The number next to the x is called the slope. The number next that is all by itself with the sign right there is called here comes the bad handwriting, the Y-intercept, which is a fancy name for if we graphed this thing. I'm going to try to make straight lines. If we put this equation on a graph, choose color blue. This is the y line. This is the x line. This number would say, remember, this is like a thermometer, and this is 0. This would be 1, 2, 3, whatever. These are the positive numbers going up, and these would be the -1, just like below 0 and all that stuff. And this would be like a number line. It's just a number line, 1, 2, 3, blah, blah, blah. So 4, 5, okay, here we go. This number, +4, means that our first dot for this line, which I'm going to put in orange, would be right here. So that is an important number. And we see right here that this says which of these two things, this and this, has a negative y-intercept. So that's where we're heading towards. In this example here, it has a positive y-intercept because it's +4. So this is something where it looks like a super technical question. But all we do, and we ignore the f of x stuff, just ignore it. That this thing and this thing are kind of written the same way. It's something times x plus or minus another number. So I know this is getting messy. I'm going to clear it all out here in a second. This number's job is to say, if we were to graph it, our starting point, our starting temperature would be positive 4. Now, where does it go from there? Remember, every whole number is really a fraction. You go one step, we always move to the right on the bottom number. So we'd go over one step and then up 3 because that's a positive number. So 1, 2, 3, and that would be our second dot. All you need to make a straight line is 2 dots, and that's how easy it is to graph stuff. I'm not saying it's easy, it's just doable. So the number next to the x is the slope. The number by itself is the y-intercept. So here's how we can get to a 50-50 on this question. We can eliminate 2 answers immediately. So compare f of x. I gotta move this because I know the bottom's covered up. 1 second. There we go. So we're comparing this to the table. And that looks like such a complex question. This number is the slope. They're not asking about the slope. So this number, that's why they made it super distracting. They made it a fraction and they made it a negative number. It's screaming, look at me, I'm difficult to deal with, blah, blah, blah. But that's just a distractor. We can ignore it because it's not asking about the slope. All they're asking about is which one has a negative y-intercept. Well, that's this number. That's a -1. So, yep, it does. So if we look at our 4 choices, whenever they do this compare stuff, the 4 choices are going to be choice A has a negative y-intercept. This will be choice B has a negative y-intercept. This will be both, and this will be neither. It'll always be the same. So right then we know, since the fraction or the function, the f of x, checks out, it does have a negative y-intercept. This one's possibly right, and this one's possibly right, because this says only the function in the table has a negative y-intercept. Well, we know that the f of x does, so that's got to be wrong. This says neither of them do. Well, we just looked at it. We didn't do any math at all. And we just saw that that's a negative number. So that can't be it. We just got to a 50-50. So it's all we got to do is figure out, does this dumb thing here have a negative y-intercept, whatever that means. So here's how we check. So we just did that. When it's an equation, the y-intercept's that back end number. If it's positive, it's a positive y-intercept. If it's negative, it's a negative y-intercept. So we just did that. So here's our 2 possible choices. We get rid of that, we get rid of that. All we're gonna do is draw a super quick and dirty graph. It doesn't have to be exact. Here's my y line, here's my x line. Okay, so I'm gonna label them real quick. This is an x, this is a y. This is how to get this question right without doing any math. That's our goal. All we're gonna do on the x line, x has to be 0. The question is, where does the line cross on the y line? This one, the up down. So we're going to go to -3 on the x line. Well, -3 is that's -1, that's -2, that's -3.
-3.
When it's -3, our dot is going to go 10 on the y. So I'm just going to put a line up here and call that 10. So where these 2 lines intersect, that's this dot is right there. -3, 10. It's like they were in parentheses. -3, 10. Now I'm going to go to this one, 3 and 2. So I'm not going to go positive. I'm going to try to go roughly the same amount of distance away. That's a 3. So I did that one. And then this one says 2. Okay, I'm going to put 2 right about here. If this is 2, that's about 10. That's close. I can eyeball that. I made my dot. All I need to make a straight line are 2 dots. See how this thing crosses? It crosses in positive territory. Did I do any math? Not really. I just drew a picture. And it's not very exact. My handwriting sucks. I just followed what this information was. That when x is 0 and we're on the thermometer line, The line we care about, that's this thing. This thing would cross down here at -1. Where it goes from there, who cares? That's all they're asking. This one crosses down here at negative territory. This one crosses up here at positive territory. So that means only that one has a negative y-intercept. Is it worth the fight? Absolutely. This is no math. I didn't do any math to figure that out. I just knew what they were talking about. If they had asked about slope, it would be that. But they asked about y-intercept, so it's just that number. So that stuff comes up a lot. And if it's a graph, all we do is figure out where does the line cross. And that's the y-intercept. I know that gets sloppy there, so I'm going to clear it out. Y-intercept is that number. And then the difference between when x is 0, I got sloppy, between these two points on a graph. So get that question right without doing any math.